my interest in art began as a child. I spent a lot of time at home painting, and at school I took all the high school art classes, and eventually I wanted to pursue more studies in art, in painting. So I applied to the Museum School of Fine Arts in 1965. So I became a student there. I went for 4 years, and then I went to a 5th year, an extra year, where I was awarded, based on the work I produced, I was awarded a traveling scholarship, and I was able to travel to Europe for several months and, see all the artwork that I studied in school, which I had never been to Europe, so it was a great opportunity to go to the museums and see artwork and absorb all that. Very fortunate to be able to do that. My way of working is several paintings at once. I cannot do one painting and finish it because I don't think I would ever get past that painting. That paintings, they're very hard to finish. I can start paintings, but it's very hard to bring them to completion. So what I have here is my studio with oil paints and brush collection, palettes, everything that's needed. And if you come in this other room here is where I do acrylic painting. You must know both acrylic and oil paintings, a medium. This is water-based painting, water-based material. So they're different process, but I try to do similar work with it. And I'm doing these couple paintings here are related more to, not this one, but these are related to winter time. So I chose specifically to use a limited palette. So I tried not to get into the greens and the blues that I like a lot. So I put those aside, and I'm going more for the gray, the winter look. So that's why the paintings are where they are now. So, and I use different brushes, and I have a different kind of palette there that I use for I keep it comes in a tube, the paints come in those tubes, and then here I just squeeze the tube out and I put the paint in there, and then I use a spray all the time. If I open them up, because they dry fast, acrylics, where oil painting you can leave it there all day, but in this case I spray all the time. When I'm working, I open it up, but it's a different they dry more quickly, and I enjoy them. I like oil. I don't know which one I like better, but I use both of them. But I keep them separate. They're separate paintings. This is acrylic, and the other room is for oil. Now, this is not a painting of mine, but what do you think? Well, the photographs that I take are I'll look at something and I'll see something that might become a painting or become part of a painting, or maybe it'll just sit around, and out of the corner of my eye I might see something, but I don't usually copy the photograph. But when I photograph something, it usually looks like one of my paintings. There are things out there that you would be surprised that I'll take a picture of, and it's almost like the painting. Especially if you're looking at the surface of water with trees and reflections. That's what catches my eye. I would say I live pretty simply.
Yeah.
I have been married for 52 years, and but my wife and I, we are similar in how we think about things, and she likes music a lot, writing, and I like painting and music, and we share interests in similar things. But I think in general we live, we don't go out and get the next best thing all the time. It's like we have what we have and it works. I like to keep things forever. Furniture. I've made furniture. I just enjoy woodworking, and so I think the idea of just making things last. We still have a TV this big, and so much stuff is so big, and you feel like everybody has to have something new and big, and but without a car, it's been an interesting life. With walking a lot, and even going to the grocery store with a cart wagon. We use a wagon, and we go to the store on weekends, and just being out there walking around and taking the subway. I use the subway a lot. We're lucky to have that. And I live in Brookline, and I walk to the studio. From Brookline, I walk on what they call the Riverway, which is part of Frederick Law Olmsted's design through the city. It starts out in Jamaica Pond, and it feeds all the way through some ponds out in Brookline where I live, and then I get to walk from where I live. I come over here and walk almost all the way to the studio on that river. I started doing that regularly when COVID set in, because I would not get on the subway. So I started walking, and I really like it. And so even now I take the subway home, but I take the walk in. So I'm always looking at the river, and water is part of what I look at. The abstraction, the surface of water is very elusive. It's abstract. People say I don't like abstract work, but they always like water, and water. What is that? But it's always moving, and it creates patterns and gets you thinking about things. So when I walk in, I walk along the river. It takes me 45 minutes, and I observe birds and ducks and the water, and I've done it through the winter and the fall and the spring and the summer. So it's different every time, so I get a different viewpoint. This here is a painting I developed with walking on the river and coming to the studio in the wintertime when we had a little bit of ice forming or going away. We didn't have a lot of ice this year. It was the city, we had no snow, very little, no ice, but we had a little ice. And so when I'm walking through, I can see things from time to time that are influence me. That would be something I didn't see this exactly like that. People always ask me, where did I do that? I did it here in the studio, because I do work outside occasionally. I don't really have any of that work. I keep it at home as sketchbooks. I don't really exhibit it, but I like sketching nature outside with oil pastels or pencils, pen and ink, things like that. But I don't exhibit it, but I enjoy doing it. So that way I could say, yeah, I did that one in the coast of Maine in a certain place. But with these paintings, I can't tell you, other than, maybe my walking to the studio, they're related to the walk. It's where my spirit lies, I think. I feel more comfortable, in nature, where it's quiet. Not so much these days, but I feel comfortable there. Just something about it that's very special. And so when I'm working, I'm trying to recreate places that, not that I have been, but maybe that I would like to go to. You can go out on a big hike in New Hampshire and see the whole countryside and the landscape, the mountains. I've done a lot of winter hiking, so it's a very different experience. So it isn't any one place, but all of that adds up. If I go to the ocean, or if I go into the woods, or I go to a pond in the wilderness somewhere, it all feeds into me. In the city, I'm very glad to have that little green space that is the riverway, because that's nature right outside my door where I live, but it isn't the woods. It isn't out in the middle of, Maine or New Hampshire. It's right here in the city. So there's really things to be looked at and observed right close by. It doesn't have to be a big adventure to be inspired. It can be a very simple, something I noticed one day, and I say, yeah, I might be able to use that in a painting, or just something to stimulate you. And it doesn't have to be a big journey like out of the city into the woods. It can be right in the city. And hopefully people who look at my work will feel themselves somewhere comfortable, or someplace they can think about things. And I think the environment is very much a factor. Things are changing so rapidly in our world, and just paying attention to that. And hopefully I can have other people pay attention, by doing this. I don't really like the word that you have a style, but there is something when I do a painting or I do a group of paintings, they always end up kind of related. There's color relationships, the way I work the brush, the textures I create. But I like light and atmosphere. Those are things that I try to put in the work. I try to deal with light and nature, and it's hard to describe exactly, but I'm searching. Yes, I do.
Oh, do you have like any favorite music?
Well, I like jazz, and I also like classical music. And I think when I listen to classical music, there are pieces, there are composers that fit what I do more, like Sibelius, if you're familiar with the work of Jan Sibelius. He paints, he composes the landscape. He composes nature. And that is a really, it's amazing when you're listening sometimes and you're working. It's describing nature for me. They describe something in a different way. Is inspiring too, and it, sometimes you listen and it can take you somewhere.
When I see your painting, I can sometimes find there's a music inside, like there's a rhythm in under your brush, like that.
Yeah, good. Well, it's it's one of those things where you have a certain feel or a touch with your brush, and a lot of people will look at an artist's work like Cezanne, and they know it's Cezanne because of the way he put the paint on. Not necessarily you could show them a piece of that painting. And someone who studied art history or is a museum curator or something, you identify the work by the brushwork. The same thing with Van Gogh. It's very different than Cezanne. He's got a very short, thick brushwork that he puts the paint on with, and it's just his way of applying paint. And so everybody has their own method, and I kind of develop, my calligraphy. I like, I don't know where country you are from.
I'm from China.
From China. Well, I have a book of Chinese calligraphy there. This is my book.
Oh.
Because I just like the beauty. I can't read it. I don't want to know. Although sometimes it's nice to know what that character means, because that's a very abstract thing. And I think that, but they're beautiful.
Yes.
I never studied it, but I just enjoy the marks. I have no clue, but I just find that to be extremely interesting as a mark, as drawing. And the other one that I really like is that one there is done by a bird.
Oh,
It's a drawing.
it's a
It's a bowerbird, the great bowerbird. These are in it's in New Zealand maybe or somewhere, but the eggs have this color on the outside.
It's the natural.
Natural.
one. Oh, that's crazy.
It's natural and so beautiful. So, how far away is that from that? You know what I mean?
Wow.
You know, when you see, where's my page there? Page, yeah, it's just beautiful. You know, it's,
Oh.
anyways, that I find fascinating.
Yeah.
It just happens by accident. And so when I'm painting, I try to create my own. It doesn't say anything, you know, specific, but it's a mark that that relates to, you know, it's calligraphic, and but not in terms of writing. It's just the beauty of the mark. This is the this will disappear. That's the idea. You do something here and it goes away. You don't get to keep it. So that's the I guess the Zen thing. It's not precious. It's just a temporary thing. So if I take this and I make a mark like that, and then in about 2 minutes it'll be gone.
Oh, I know that's material, and
Yeah.
when we practice the choreography, we use this
Oh, you
to
did?
practice. Yeah, but
In China?
yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it is just for practice, and we don't consider it as artwork.
No, that's the idea. But to me, you know, sometimes I get an idea. You know, I can do this and have you know, get some ideas, and it's kind of a exercise, you know.
Oh, that's very refreshable. And
Because see, the fact that you have the dark space and a very light space and a dot there, that's interesting. Yeah. And sometimes what happens is, what I tend to like, although I can't do it here because it's too much water, but see, I like that. You see the fact that it's broken up, or the end of the thing.
Yeah.
That I know that's very respected in calligraphy. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, there's something about when it's kind of, it's hard to do, but like that, the edge of that's to me part of the word or the character.
yeah,
And sometimes you see that it's just so beautiful,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
It really is. That's great. I like the water one, yeah.
yeah.
That book doesn't translate anything this year.
Yeah,
It
but-
doesn't tell me.
Yeah,
what
but it's the power of the
the marks.
art. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what I like. So that's
Yeah.
what I relate to. I don't need to know.
Mm.
It's maybe I don't want to know. You know.